She gave a homeless man her last meal, and 3 months later, she was standing at the altar about to marry him. But what she didn't know was that this man wasn't who he seemed. Her name was Amara. 28. Quiet, kind. The kind of person people rarely notice until they need something. She worked at a small bookstore downtown. Not because it paid well, but because she loved stories. Stories where broken people found their way back. Stories where love appeared when it was least expected. But in her own life, love had never stayed. Her last relationship ended with a text message. No explanation, no goodbye, just silence. So Amara stopped believing in fairy tales. Or at least, she tried to. Every evening, on her way home, she passed the same man. Sitting near the corner of 3rd Street. Same spot. Same worn-out jacket. Same distant look in his eyes. He never begged, never called out. Just watched the world pass by. Like he didn't belong in it. People avoided him. Some pitied him. Most ignored him. But Amara noticed something different. He didn't look broken. He looked lost. That night, the rain came hard and sudden. Shops closed early, streets emptied. Amara clutched her bag, rushing home. When she saw him again. Still there. Drenched, shivering, alone. She hesitated. She didn't have much. Just a small takeaway box for dinner. The last thing she had after a long day. She could walk away. Most people would. Most people did. But she didn't. Amara walked toward him slowly. Each step heavier than the last. She knelt down beside him, and held out the food. Hi, I thought you might need this. The man looked up. For the first time. Their eyes met. And in that moment, something shifted. Not pity. Not fear. Something deeper. Something neither of them could explain. His eyes weren't empty. They were guarded. Like someone who had lost everything, and didn't believe anything good could still exist. He didn't take the food immediately. Instead, he asked. Why? Amara blinked, surprised. Because you look like you need it. He studied her face. Like he was searching for something. A lie, a reason, a hidden motive. But there was none. Just kindness. Simple, unfiltered. Slowly, he took the box. Thank you. Amara smiled. A small, genuine smile. The kind she hadn't shown in a long time. I pass here every day. I've seen you around. The man nodded. Most people do, they just don't stop. She sat down beside him. Ignoring the cold pavement. Ignoring the fact that this was completely unlike her. I guess I'm not most people. For the first time. He almost smiled. Almost. They didn't talk much that night. Just a few words. A few silences. But somehow, it didn't feel awkward. It felt familiar. Like two strangers who had met before in another life. Before leaving, Amara stood up. I'll see you tomorrow. She didn't realize what she had just promised. Not just a visit. Not just a moment. But the beginning of something. That would change both their lives forever. The man watched her walk away. Holding the empty food container. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel invisible. But what Amara didn't know was that this man was hiding a past so powerful. It could either build their future or destroy it completely. The next day, Amara came back. She told herself it was nothing, just a simple act of kindness. But deep down, she knew that wasn't true. He was there again. Same corner. But this time, he was waiting. When he saw her, something changed in his posture. Subtle, but real. Like someone who had finally found a reason to look up. Hi, I brought you something. You came back. I said I would. This time, they talked a little more. Not much. But enough to begin. I'm Amara. The man hesitated, as if saying his name meant giving away a piece of himself. Daniel. Daniel. A name that sounded ordinary, but carried something heavy behind it. Well, Daniel, it's nice to officially meet you. And just like that, he wasn't just the homeless man anymore. He was someone. Days turned into a routine. Every evening, Amara would stop by. Sometimes with food. Sometimes with coffee. Sometimes with nothing but conversation. They talked about small things. Favorite books. Childhood memories. Dreams they once had, but never followed. But Daniel never talked about one thing. His past. Every time the conversation drifted there, he would gently steer it away. You don't have to tell me everything, but how did you end up here? Daniel looked away. Some stories are better left alone. And Amara respected that. But curiosity began to grow. One evening, something was different. Daniel wasn't at his usual spot. Amara's heart sank. She walked up and down the street, checking every corner. Nothing. Just as she was about to leave, she heard voices in an alley nearby. Angry voices. She stepped closer. Careful, quiet. And then she saw him. Daniel. Pinned against the wall by two men. You think you can just disappear? You owe us, and you know it. Amara froze. This wasn't just bad luck. This was something else. Something dangerous. Daniel's expression changed. Gone was the quiet, reserved man she knew. In his place was someone sharper, stronger. I told you, I'm done with that life. You don't walk away from us. Amara should have walked away. Called for help. Done anything but what she did next. She stepped forward. Leave him alone. All three men turned. And who are you supposed to be? Amara swallowed her fear. Someone who's not afraid of you. Daniel's eyes widened just slightly. Not fear. Surprise. For a moment, everything stood still. Then, the men laughed. But something in Amara's voice made them hesitate. This isn't your business. Daniel stepped forward, positioning himself between Amara and them. She said leave. And just like that, they backed off. But not before one final warning. This isn't over. The alley fell silent. Amara's heart was racing. Her hands trembling. Daniel, what was that? He didn't answer right away. Just stood there. Thinking. Deciding. Finally. You shouldn't have seen that. Then explain it to me. He looked at her. Really looked at her. Like he was weighing something important. Trust or distance. Truth or silence. I'm not who you think I am. And in that moment, everything changed. Because the man Amara thought she knew was hiding a life filled with power, danger, and a past that could shatter everything between them. Amara stood frozen. I'm not who you think I am. Those words echoed in her mind. Then who are you? Daniel exhaled slowly. Like a man finally putting down a weight he had carried for too long. I wasn't always like this. He told her everything. Not all at once, but enough. He used to have money, power, influence. A life built on deals, connections, and risks. But not all of them were clean. One mistake. One wrong alliance. And everything collapsed. His business, his reputation. Gone. But worse than that. He became a target. Those men in the alley? They weren't strangers. They were part of a past that refused to let him go. Amara listened. Every word heavier than the last. This wasn't just a man down on his luck. This was someone running from something real. Something dangerous. She could walk away. Forget everything. Pretend she never met him. That would be the smart choice. The safe choice. But instead, Why didn't you tell me? Daniel looked down. Because the moment you knew, you'd have a reason to leave. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Not from fear. But from something deeper. Understanding. I'm still here. Daniel looked up. Surprised. Almost disbelieving. You think I stayed because you were perfect? I stayed because you're real. For the first time. Daniel didn't look guarded. He looked seen. Not for who he used to be, but for who he was trying to become. The days that followed changed everything. Amara helped Daniel find a small job. Nothing glamorous. Just honest work. She introduced him to a world he thought he had lost forever. Routine. Stability. Hope. And slowly, Daniel began to rebuild. Not his old life, but a new one. Better. Stronger. Real. And somewhere along the way, what started as kindness became something neither of them could ignore. 3 months later, Amara stood in front of a mirror, wearing a simple white dress. Heart racing. Hands trembling. Not from fear, but from the weight of everything that led to this moment. At the end of the aisle stood Daniel. Not in worn-out clothes. Not lost. Not broken. But standing tall. Present. Certain. The same man she once found sitting alone in the rain. As Amara walked toward him, their eyes met again. Just like the first night. But this time, there was no uncertainty. No distance. Only truth. Only love. You saved me. Amara smiled through tears. No, we saved each other. Sometimes, the people we overlook are the ones who change our lives the most. And sometimes, one small act of kindness is all it takes to turn a stranger into a soulmate. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes in love. Because stories like this, they deserve to be felt by everyone.